Welcome to today's explainer. Okay, I want you to picture your absolute favorite crispy snack. Just imagine that colorful bowl of potato chips sitting right there on the counter. Now, what if I told you that this universally loved, perfectly salty, wildly satisfying treat wasn't born out of some grand desire to create a culinary masterpiece? Actually, scratch that. It was born out of pure, unadulterated spite. That's right, the potato chip was literally an act of petty revenge that just completely backfired in the most delicious way possible. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered if the absolute best things in life are just happy accidents? Because you really got to ask yourself, did you know your favorite potato chips were actually invented by accident just because of a super angry chef? Right, we usually think of cooking inventions coming from these careful, methodical experiments. A pinch of this, a little dash of that. But in this explainer, we're looking at a totally classic case of sheer kitchen rage, somehow turning into a global snacking phenomenon. To really get how this culinary lightning struck, we kind of need to transport ourselves way back in time. The year is 1853. Just picture the scene with me. We're in this bustling, super busy vintage restaurant. The dining room is completely packed. The kitchen is blazing hot, and the culinary standards of the time are being fiercely tested. Now, back then, fried potatoes were a totally standard side dish, but they definitely weren't the thin, crunchy crisps we know today. They were thick-cut, really hearty. But on this specific day in 1853, well, one particular diner was just not having it. And this brilliantly illustrates the whole central conflict here. On one side, we have the customer's relentless complaint. The fried potatoes are just too thick and they're way too soggy. You can almost hear the comical clatter of the guy pushing his plate away. And on the flip side, meanwhile, the chef's frustration is just rapidly boiling over. I mean, this customer kept sending his food back to the kitchen over and over. Just imagine being a professional chef in the 1850s, sweating over a hot stove, only to have your hard work repeatedly rejected by one incredibly picky diner. The oil wasn't the only thing sizzling in that kitchen. The chef's temper was absolutely hitting a boiling point. So enter our protagonist, or maybe our culinary anti-hero for the story, Chef George Crumb. Chef Crumb was a pretty prominent 1850s restaurant chef who finally decided he had just taken enough criticism for one day. He wasn't going to remake those standard fried potatoes again just to see them get sent back. No way. He decided it was time to teach this exceptionally picky diner a lesson he wouldn't forget. He basically wanted to make the potatoes so ridiculously unappetizing, so impossibly thin and brittle, that the customer would be forced to just give up and surrender. It was time for a little petty kitchen retaliation. Let's move to and see how this builds, because this is exactly where the magic happens. Driven by pure revenge, Chef Crumb enacted a furious three-step plan. Step 1, he grabs his knife and starts furiously chopping, slicing the potatoes paper thin, like so thin you could practically see right through them. Step 2, he tosses them into the bubbling hot oil to fry them until they are incredibly extra crispy, way past the point of a normal fried potato. And finally, to really drive his point home and make them completely inedible in his mind, he absolutely drowns them in salt. He just loaded the plate up, fully expecting the customer to be furious. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredible twist of fate that happens next. The server carries this plate of overly salted, paper-thin, basically burnt-looking crisps out to the dining room. Chef Crumb is probably hiding right by the kitchen doors, just waiting to watch the guy's disgusted reaction. The customer takes a bite, you hear that loud, satisfying crunch, and his reaction? He completely loved it. Seriously, instead of being mad, the diner was overjoyed. The chef's angry little prank had totally failed as a punishment, but it completely succeeded as a culinary masterpiece. So the crucial point is that out of pure frustration and spite, an entirely new snack category was born. What was meant to be a completely ruined plate of food turned into an instant hit. The sheer accidental genius of slicing the potatoes so thin that it became a crispy, salty vessel of flavor completely revolutionized how we eat potatoes. That single moment of kitchen rage back in 1853 gave us the exact blueprint for the very potato chips we all still snack on around the world today. It went from a petty joke to an absolute sensation literally overnight. It really just goes to show that sometimes making a mistake or even trying to make a terrible dish on purpose can lead to these amazing, world-changing results. Honestly, the next time you open a bag of chips and hear that perfect crunch, you can thank a very angry chef and a super picky customer. Which actually brings me to a question for all of you out there. Knowing how the original salty chip was born, what is your all-time favorite chip flavor today? Let us know down in the comments, and I'll see you in our next explainer.